Welcome to the Writer Dojo with your host, Steve Diamond.
Ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies.
And Larry Correia.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Today's episode, Q&A, until Larry and Steve talk about Godzilla.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Writer Dojo. Larry, it's been a minute since we've answered questions from folks.
Yeah, we realized we actually have a bunch that we haven't answered.
Yeah, and some are longer than others. In fact, some of these might end up going for more, most of the episode, but that's okay. So the last kind of Q&As we did was during like our Writer Dojo live episodes, just the regular one, and then the live, and then the action episode that we did back when we were at Writer's Cantina a couple months ago.
And those are a little different because it's a live studio audience, so little odder, but fun.
So for these, what we have are, we got some questions, and for those of you who are new to the show, or those of you who have forgotten, I don't know why. You've probably been watching too much politics. So we have a Facebook group, Writer Dojo. And within that group, you can join up. There's all sorts of great people in there giving great experiences, advice, asking questions, yada, yada. And then as part of listening to the show, you can be a supporter of the show by giving us as little as 99 cents a month. And what that does is that it gives you a little bit of a couple privileges. And one of those is being able to ask questions. And when you ask those questions, we always answer them. Okay. So, oftentimes, we get these and we kind of let them sit for a second until we get more than a few, or, I just forget that they're there, which is kind of what happened with a few of these.
Yeah, we need to be
sorry,
better
guys.
about that. Yeah.
All right. Now, a lot of times when you guys send in your questions, you preface it with like a huge preface of where you're going with things and what you're doing, and then paragraphs of work. So I'm just going to condense those down because no one wants to hear me read these out loud. Okay, this is from William. And basically what it comes down to, and this is kind of funny because he's kind of talks about bad writing advice. And we just had an episode on terrible writing advice. But here's what he said, and I like this. He says, my question to you all, have you come across advice that is so terrible that you were able to flip it around and make it good writing advice?
Oh, I think honestly that's what we try to do every time. Okay, so William, a little backstory here. So one time Steve and I decided let's do some bad Twitter writing advice episodes. So we went out on Twitter and just started looking under hashtag writing community. And what did it take us? 45 minutes to find dozens of the stupidest things you've ever heard.
Oh gosh.
It's just the dumbest sea of crap out there of bad. I mean, there's so much bad advice out there, guys.
Yeah, there's so many. It's very much like the the Al Bundy giving advice on quarterbacks, type of advice, right?
For Pokai, he scored 3 touchdowns for.
And
I can't remember that.
It's ridiculous, right? Like it's people who have no business giving advice in anything, and they're out there giving it, and people are listening to it. Now, just in terms of overall generalities, I'm not going to accept criticism or advice from someone who I don't respect. Period.
Yeah. Anytime you're getting...
So that kind of pushes all that off to the side.
Right. I think, honestly, any bad advice, if looked at through a lens of experience by people who know what they're doing, can be turned around and talked about to illustrate points they're good. So last episode, we talked about envy and greed and jealousy. I think we tried to flip that around to a positive. Like, how do you actually use that to, improve your craft and improve your business? I think we've done that on several episodes where we've taken we were actually going to talk about Canon coming up because we had some bad advice about Canon.
We just couldn't find that. We couldn't find the
quote. Probably the problem is I make fun of these people on Twitter and then they wind up taking their accounts private.
Yeah.
But so I got to take screenshots. But honestly, if anytime you're getting and writing advice, think about who it's from and then apply your smell detector to it. Does it make sense for you? And when I say smell detector, it's an audit term. Does it smell like bull crap?
Yep.
If it smells like bull crap, it's probably bull crap, right? But if you see some writing advice from, say, some good author, and this good author, an author who you respect and you like their work and you know they're successful, and that author says, "Hey, I do this, this, and this." Okay, I'm going to pay attention to that. If the writing advice is from #writing community, some dude,
If it's from Twitter writing community,
yeah, you've
it's
never
probably
heard
bad.
of, who hates everything, and all his tweets are crying about other people make more money than he does, whatever, and it just blow it off. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The world is full of dumb advice.
Well, and here's the other thing. Everyone has advice. What Wasil saying, opinions are like, elbows or something.
Elbows, yes. And
Everybody has them
they all smell.
or something. Anyway, everybody has opinions on something. It doesn't mean they're good. Just because someone gives advice doesn't mean it's good advice.
No, and sometimes it's just not appropriate for you because you're in a different place.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's I love the advice that is unsolicited,
Yeah.
where people show up and tell you what you should be doing. Because you know what? That 90% of the time, I'll be generous, 90% of the time actually doesn't apply or doesn't help. So I think you just got to use your common sense, and you got to weigh it, and you got to measure it and say, is this good for me or not? And then go from there.
And we've seen a couple places within the Dojo Facebook group where people are, especially really new writers, they're writing their very first thing ever. And they say something like, "Hey, I just heard this random piece of advice." Now, here's what I will say. There are a couple times where I think you guys are trolling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
If you are, stop it. Because at a certain point, I get tired of your bull crap, and I'll just kick you out.
Oh yeah, guys, just so you know, on the WriterDojo, we have no mercy whatsoever, or patience, or love.
No, guys, I work for the government. I have no patience for anyone.
Yeah, I'm the guy who writes Agent Franks and Ashok Vidal.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind when you're dicking around on my Facebook page. I don't care if you live or die.
Now, if you're asking, if you're bargaining in good faith, and you're asking, and you're like, "I heard this advice. It seems wrong, but I'm just going to post it and see what people say." And post it. That's fine.
That's fine. And sometimes there's passionate debates in there. We've had some great debates between intelligent people. I've seen where both sides have made great points and argued their thing. And which is funny because some writers are good with that, and other writers take it, great personal offense is taken, and they get butthurt and whatever. That's fine. You guys are all grown-ups. I ain't your dad. I don't care.
You're not my dad. All right. Okay, here's one from Matt. He says, "Good afternoon." Good afternoon, Larry.
Good afternoon, Matt.
He says, "In most stories that involve adventuring parties, quote unquote,
Okay.
I've noticed that the story either starts with an established party or with everyone, I don't know how that's some weird English there. With everyone already split with individual storylines that converge by the end of that story, and then the establishment of that party.
Okay.
Aside from a stylistic choice, is there any other reason to prefer one method over the other, or does it just need to fall into the needs of the story?" Oh, this is from Matthias Gilliam. We know him. So the idea is where you have kind of an ensemble party. They're either already together because of reasons, or they all have converging storylines that happen to meet up for story reasons towards the end of the novel. Is there a preference either way?
Oh man, I can think of good examples of both. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do that.
I think it just has to do with the kind of story you want to tell.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend entirely, because I can think of stories where the gang is already all together and the adventure starts. I can also think of stories where they put the team together to then have the adventure, and the putting the team together is part of the story. Okay, like think about heist movies. We've all seen heist movies where the heist movie starts with the heist and the team already exists. Then we could also, or Mission Impossible movies, but then there's also movies where it's like, I'm putting together a team.
Yeah, like Seven Samurai.
Yeah, it's like I need Seven Samurai. Seven Samurai is the perfect example of that, because the whole 3/4 of the movie
is putting together the team.
The Seven Samurai. And all the different movies that are basically ripoffs or homages to the Seven Samurai.
Yes. And some of them do it very poorly.
Well, okay,
like
but
Rebel
then
Moon.
Yeah, oh yeah, I didn't watch that. Predator. Predator, the team
established
is
team.
established, and they're and how do you get to know the team? A helicopter ride.
Yeah,
You get-
well, and
that's it. You get the helicopter ride in.
They have banter. They have shorthand already. You know, they already have all of that in place.
Yep. You know who these dudes are by the time they hit the ground.
And I think that right there, regardless of whichever method you choose to go, if you choose to go with the already established group, there are a lot of great ways to shorthand that in. And that's with banter, right? That's with, okay, so back before Marvel movies sucked, there's the line where Black Widow and Hawkeye are talking. And they say something like, doesn't that remind you of Bulgaria or whatever?
Budapest.
Budapest or whatever it is. And they're like, yeah. And all of a sudden you understood that they have a history, they have a camaraderie.
Relationship.
And for the longest time after that, people are like, I wonder what that was. That's interesting.
Yeah, it added some depth there. I think the question is what kind of story you're trying to tell. Because if Predator had 45 minutes of prologue where Arnold Schwarzenegger put his elite team of commandos together,
No one cares.
no one cares because the movie's about the Predator and killing these total badasses who anyone would dominate their normal action movie.
Right.
You know, totally different. Ocean's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever.
There's only one. It's Ocean's 11.
I don't know. But big part of that too is George Clooney has the task. He needs to put together a team.
Well, and that's part of the allure of that movie is seeing all these weirdly diverse, and I mean this not in the capital D way,
But in the fun way.
in the fun way, kind of cast of characters that are all getting together and they all have a specialty.
And how are they going to use it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So like Servants of War, right? Like that team isn't established.
No, we build that during
Yeah. We build it up. We build up several different kind of sort of teams that all kind of emerge at different points along the line. You know, Ilarion with his cadre of the Wall.
Yep.
And then that brings in Natalia, and then and then Kristoff comes in, and then Darius comes in. I mean, it all kind of comes in at different points. But that's because in that story, it was important for each of the characters to have their individual journey and their individual character arcs, independent of a crew.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a right answer. And I think either can be awesome. It just depends on, I mean, I've done both. Like the crew from Gunrunner was already all together, working together. Monster Hunter, we meet them all through training as they put the team together. And so it's, I think it just depends. You could do either depending on the kind of story you're going to tell.
All right. The next question is this is actually a very simple question.
Which is good because we,
Yeah.
we ran a little long on the commercial before the commercial break last time.
So it's a technical question, and it has to do with internal thoughts and internal dialogue. How do you show that within story structure? Italics.
I use italics.
And he specifically said, are you supposed to put it in quotes? No.
No. So quotes are for spoken dialogue only, or unless you're doing something in the text to be like, it means this, like you make like little quote marks with your fingers. But no, quotes are for spoken. So standard is italics for internal dialogue. Some authors don't do that. I don't actually use very many tags of he thought to himself. Also, he thought to himself always makes me laugh.
Yeah, it's a little redundant.
Because it's actually redundant. It's just, he thought, well, who would he think it to somebody else? Now, if you are writing something with telepathic communication, he thought to Steve.
That's different, though. That's totally different.
Totally different.
So
come up with your rules there and be consistent.
Yeah, both. When I was doing when I was relaying out the Grim Noir trilogy for the limited editions that I do,
which have all shipped.
They've all shipped.
Yay!
I still have some for sale. I just have to get it up on the site, and I have to wait for them to reprint all the ones that were damaged in transit.
Yeah, there's always the fun of damaged in transit.
Anyway, I noticed that you use internal thoughts and dialogue quite a bit,
all the time,
and as do I.
Yeah.
Which, and I know this because I had to go through and re-italicize all of them as I was laying them out. And I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot of internal stuff here.
Yep.
But what I notice, and I do the same thing that you do, and that's that the internal dialogue, I think the biggest thing for this is not just the form and the function, italicize or whatever. Yeah, just italicize it and call it a day. I think my biggest thing there is you don't need the quotes. You don't need any of that stuff because it should be in the same narrative voice as if that person were speaking out loud.
Yes. It's just like when we talked about writing dialogue and how you don't need dialogue tags if your dialogue is unique enough for the character.
Same with internalization.
Same with internal thoughts. Also, one quick note on internal thoughts before we go to break. There's a difference between the character thinking and the stuff, their conclusions, their reasoning, that kind of thing, and their internal thought. An internal thought would be like, holy crap, this guy's an idiot, right? Yeah. And he thinks that to himself.
Yeah.
That would be in italics. But if you just have so-and-so was there and observing, and it was clear that Jim was an idiot, okay?
Yeah.
So that's not in italics.
And a lot of that's also going to depend on first person versus third person.
Right.
So if you're doing first person, you need far, far, far less internal dialogue.
Because it's almost all, if you think about it, internal dialogue.
Yep.
You're not italicizing every time he's not talking to somebody. That'd be foolish.
Yep.
So that's kind of your editorial standard. I have seen different authors go different directions, stylistic choices. I don't think there's a hard and fast rule. That's just kind of like, I think, industry standard.
It's industry accepted standard.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get to some more questions. We'll be right back.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages. Step right up, and see the book with the AI cover so dangerous that it was quietly stricken from the Dragon Awards. Experience artwork only wrong fans are capable of appreciating. Gaze upon the freakishly grotesque figures desecrating the cover. Dare to look within its pages at the subversive interior art. Explore the dark alleys and forbidden deals found only in the Goblin Market. Available now on Amazon. Another gutter sump of iniquity and evil. Run for your lives! Run away! Over here! This way, run!
All right, everybody, welcome back. Okay, back to the questions, Larry. This one I will read the paragraph. Greetings. This is from the Baron.
The Baron.
The Baron.
Oh, okay.
Probably not Harkonnen.
Oh, I thought he was great in What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah. Greetings. There's a specific question that I would love to ask Jim Butcher because it deals specifically with one of his books. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. We like talking with Jim. But I do believe this question can apply to you too. And it can. Sometime back, I was reading Summer Night, great book, and I found myself wanting to know more about the various plots that were being hatched between the Summer Court and the Winter Court. My question is, did you ever find yourself limited, narratively speaking, writing in first person? So,
Okay.
the idea here is that once you're in first person, ancillary plottings and stuff that are going on outside, that are outside the purview of your main POV narrative, you're not going to see anything about.
Right, because you're limited to just that one guy and what he's seeing. So if there is stuff off screen, he doesn't know about it. Yeah. Now that can be limiting. Also, it can also be freeing because as the narrator, I don't have to explain everything. It's okay to leave questions. It's okay to have things unresolved, especially like Dresden is a 16 book series now.
Oh, I think we're further than that.
Jeez, it's
I
a
think
lot.
we're at
It's a
18
lot
or 19.
It's
right
a
now.
lot of books. So one nice thing about the first person for Jim there is he can have these cool hooks. Like what are they really up to? He doesn't have to answer it in this book. He can come back 2, 3, 4 books later.
And also, there is something to be said for the importance of the reader and the character through virtue of going through the character's eyes, not knowing.
Yeah.
That's important.
Air of mystery. There's a lot of shows, a lot of books that if the mystery was revealed early, the book is done. X-Files.
Yeah.
Lost. Only they didn't know what they were doing. But you see what I'm saying? But there's the tantalizing hook of, wait, what does that mean? Why is that there? What is the purpose of this? And it draws you along. So honestly, first person, that is a hindrance at times, because if you want to tell that story, you got to figure out a way to put your narrator there so that he can see it.
Yep.
But also, it's, as the writer, it's super liberating and freeing, and it's a powerful weapon of revealing stuff as I want to reveal it.
There is an option C, Larry, and that's you do what I did. And your book has first person and third person.
Yeah, Steve just did what he wants. I mean, not very many people have done first person and third person in the same
Not very
book.
many people do that.
No. Lee Modestett has done it.
Yeah, Lee's done everything.
Lee's awesome.
He's literally done all of it.
Yeah, Lee's great. Like, Lee's brilliant.
I mean, limited, omniscient, first.
He's got one with 4 first person narrators.
Yeah, and you've done multiple first person.
I've done multiple first person narrators.
I have a hard time with that, especially right at the start of the book.
Yeah, you gotta figure out a way to stage it.
But anyway, if I use that to my advantage, to where my main character has no idea what the crap is going on. Jack has no idea what's going on in that series. He just doesn't know. He's dumb. And then you have the third person narrative of Alex, who is involved in other ancillary things and oftentimes does not share that information with the main character.
I even do the same thing, kind of, I'm just writing a like regular third person, because remember that scene is limited to one person's point of view.
Yeah, because you're doing third limited.
Third person limited, which is what most books are. You can do the same trick where you just make sure, if you want to have a thing that you want to hook to leave later, make sure you have the narrator for that sequence be the person that doesn't know the answer.
Yeah.
Then you hook them, you leave it hanging.
All right, next question is from Bo. Oh, I know Bo. Bo's a great guy. He says, in my current manuscript, book 2 of the trilogy, my main character has 3 well-plotted try-fail scenarios. That's good. Try-fail scenarios are fantastic in fiction. Failing is super important. However, my antagonist story does not go through the same trial-fail cycle. Is this an issue? I don't think it has to be.
No, I don't think so. Especially if you're having a really powerful antagonist. I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, he says the main character's story is the main plot of the book and takes 75% of the chapters.
That's the next question.
Should I be plotting the same for the antagonist and balancing that percentage? No, I don't think you
absolutely not. We've talked about this.
You can if you want.
We've talked about this in the episode with villains. I suggest go back and listen to the episode on villains, because villains, the rules for them, for antagonists, are different than the protagonists that the readers are following along with. I don't think so. I think you can have a lot of stories where the antagonist doesn't have any setbacks until the very end. Mm-hmm. You can have stories where the antagonist is like a monolithic engine of destruction who never fails. Or the only failure is that the hero manages to squeak out and survive and escape. Okay.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't apply the same rule to the antagonist and the protagonist on that. I wouldn't worry about that.
It doesn't sound, Bo, it doesn't sound like you're writing like a straight up, like dueling perspectives. You know what I mean? Where it's equally weighted. They're dueling against each other for something, a MacGuffin, or against each other, whatever. In that scenario, I can see where you have a theoretical protagonist and a theoretical antagonist go through similar trial fail cycles. If
you are doing that, then that is great. Then you do need to give the antagonist failures, usually based upon what the protagonist is. So like Dead Six.
That's exactly where I was going.
Those two headbutting constantly. One guy's success would set the other guy up for failure. One guy's failure would set the other guy up for success.
Yeah, they're interlinked. Competing. Yeah.
And only one can win. Die Hard.
There can only be one.
Die Hard. Every time John McClane succeeds, it pushes Hans to the edge, right? So every time one of those guys has success, it hurts the other guy. And so that's one reason Die Hard is a perfect movie. And I stand by that. It is a perfect movie. But that's one where they do have the antagonist and protagonist back and forth. You can have other ones where the antagonist, Jaws. What's the what's the setback for Jaws?
He got hungry.
He got hungry. So I think it just kind of depends. There is no setback. Speaking of which, you told me I need to watch Godzilla Minus One.
Okay, so here's the question: did you watch Godzilla Minus One?
I did watch Godzilla
That is the
Minus
important
One.
question.
Holy crap! It's a great movie.
Here's the rest, because the next question that I found is really, really long, and I don't want to read it right now. I'll save it for another episode. So here's the next.
So we're not
question,
going to be able to
Larry.
fit in a really long one in this episode.
So here's the next question, Larry. What did you think overall of the movie?
I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. I thought that was a great flick. And the only reason I was bringing it up for this particular topic, did Godzilla have any setbacks?
Well, I mean, he got his face blown off partway through. It didn't matter though.
It grew back in 10 seconds.
He got better. He got better.
And honestly, that wasn't even a setback as much as it just showed this is how badass Godzilla is.
Yeah, he's an unstoppable force.
Yeah, they made him a force of nature. So in there, the antagonist, he doesn't have any setbacks. Works fine. So I think it just kind of depends on if you're writing Die Hard, Hans Gruber has to have setbacks.
Well, and
if you're writing Godzilla don't give a crap.
Well, and I think it's good to show, like Bo's saying, 25% of his story is kind of from the antagonist point of view, and some of those scenes better be him reacting to, oh crap, that hero just effed me over.
Yeah.
Now what do I do? Well, I'm going to do this and make it even worse for him. Screw that guy.
So I have in the Son of the Black Sword and Saga of Forgotten Warrior, Omond is the spider. He's the chess master, bad guy. And he does act, and we have scenes from his point of view, but he does actually have setbacks. But he also has more triumphs than setbacks. And then he gets really set back, and then, but so it just kind of depends. Am I trying to humanize my villain? He's an evil scumbag. I mean, the guy's a complete sociopathic scumbag, but also his actions are totally understandable for what he's going for. Super evil, but understandable. So setbacks in that case makes sense. Plus, if I don't set him back, he wins and game over. So I think it just kind of depends. No, not really a good answer on that one, Bo. There's not a definitive answer. I think it's just going to depend on what kind of story you're trying to tell.
But to your point, Godzilla doesn't face no setbacks.
No, Godzilla don't give a crap.
No, because he's Godzilla.
He kills like 50,000 people in one scene.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, he's so badass in this movie. Oh my gosh, it's a great flick, guys.
Now, but here's what I like about it, okay? Because we have seen the Hollywood Godzilla movies. They are special effects extravaganzas, and that's all they have going for them.
Can I tell you a story about when I watched the John Cusack Godzilla in college with my wife?
Oh, yeah.
So
it has a wonderful soundtrack, by the way.
I don't know about the soundtrack, but the movie itself is horrible. So
yeah, but the soundtrack is baller.
Me and Bridget are in college. I think we're married at this point. We might have been dating, but I think we were married, and we're at the Dollar Theater, and we're watching Godzilla. And at this scene, Godzilla is chasing some Apache attack helicopters through the streets of New York.
Yes.
And the helicopter is flying down the street, and it's juking left and right, and Godzilla's chasing it. And it's this really dramatic scene.
I mean, it could have just flown up.
So the helicopter's going side to side, and the helicopter pilot screams dramatically, "I can't shake him!" So we're in the movie theater. It's full. My wife yells, Bridget yells, "Try going up!" And the entire movie theater just loses it. I was like, 40, 50 people in this little dollar theater in Logan, Utah just starts laughing at the movie. So all the dramatic tension of this scene just died because my wife tried going up. And just killed it.
Has an incredible Jamiroquai song in this.
Oh, really? Okay, so I didn't pay any attention to the soundtrack, but yeah, the movie itself was horrible, but yeah.
So
no, this new movie, fantastic.
Okay. Well, no, let's continue on the whole Bad Godzilla stuff. Okay.
We'll call this episode Q&A, and Larry and Steve talk about Godzilla.
Talking about Godzilla. So, the modern ones, okay, like Godzilla vs. King Kong or whatever. I mean, it's gotten ridiculous.
Oh, those are so over the top, crazy.
I mean,
yeah.
King Kong has like a power glove now.
Those are giant superhero movies.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mechagodzilla looked awesome. I think it looked great.
I didn't even watch the last one.
Godzilla
I did watch someone with Mechagodzilla. Oh my gosh, I did.
There's another new one.
Yeah.
Godzilla looks really good. That's fine. I mean, they look good special effects wise.
Yeah.
But no one gives an ever-living crap about any of the characters.
I couldn't name one.
The chick from Stranger Things is in one of them.
I don't even remember that. I'm sorry, I don't remember
That's
at
all that
all.
matters.
Like they're a blank spot on my. I remember King Kong gets a magic axe made out of like a Godzilla spike,
You're right.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense.
and they traveled under like to the
They go to the Hollow Earth.
to the Hollow Earth through like a magic portal.
I don't even know, man.
I don't even know, man.
Here's the difference. This new Godzilla Minus One. The characters are really good.
The characters are incredible. It's actually, I saw somebody describe it as it's a post-war tragic love story about a man trying to rebuild his life in war, in post-war Japan, trying to find meaning and purpose. Oh yeah, and Godzilla shows up.
Yeah. I mean, think about who the main character is, right? He's a kamikaze pilot.
Yeah, that was powerful. That was cool.
And I intentionally did not look at anything about the movie before I went and saw it. Mm-hmm. Like nothing. I didn't even know it was World War II. I knew nothing. Didn't watch trailer, nothing. I just went because I like Godzilla. So when they introduced him and he's a kamikaze pilot, you know what my first thought was? I went, oh no. We're gonna get some like this is just gonna go hardcore politics. Like America's dumb, Japan's the best.
I was actually
Yada,
shocked
yada.
how little it did that.
It did. It didn't do any of that.
It
In
went
fact,
that the opposite direction.
yes. They were like, yeah, America exists. By the way, Japan sucks, guys. Our politics suck. Our government suck.
I
I'm
was
like,
surprised.
Holy cow.
How much that was a part of it. And also like the little bit like, okay, so he's a kamikaze pilot. He's supposed to die. He didn't die because of cowardice, which is like the ultimate shameful
Dude
was supposed to die and he didn't die.
And everyone thinks that he's a coward because of it once they find out.
Yeah, they thought he was a piece of crap.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Mm-hmm.
The mom who'd lost her kids.
Yep.
He comes home and everybody's dead except for him. The guy who was supposed to die didn't die. And this guy is basically a walking ghost.
Yeah, he is walking survivor's guilt.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was so freaking well done. And then the girl.
The relationship that he has with this girl who basically just kind of takes in cuz.
Yeah. Because she has nowhere else to go.
She has nowhere else to go.
And she has a baby. It's not her baby. It's just everybody else is dead.
Yeah, it's a very poignant take on how war ravages family, right?
Yeah, and his people just kind of rebuilding from the ashes, and it was interesting the way they portrayed it because the movie takes place over about 4 or 5 years, I think. But every time they would show this guy's house, it went from like wreckage to a shack to a little bit nicer to like an actual home over the years, and it was just really interesting to watch that.
Yeah, I found, and I think that's what's so interesting about the movie is that it did the right thing. I mean, you and I talk about this in writing terms all the time, and that's that it's the characters that matter.
Yeah, that was a character-driven movie, and it was shockingly well written.
Shockingly well written.
I mean, it was all the cheese you would expect of a Godzilla movie.
Oh, dude, I can't tell you how much I loved that in a lot of scenes, the CG of Godzilla was freaking rad. And yet, they CG'd in some of his old derpiness.
Oh yeah,
Dude, it was so fun.
He looked like original Godzilla. He looked like original Rubber Suit Man Godzilla, which made it
just with CG.
But like it's a terrifying force of nature that kills like 50,000 people and it just doesn't even give a crap.
Yeah.
The sequence, the sequence where Godzilla actually comes out of the water and starts wrecking stuff is actually kind of mind blowing. And I haven't watched it in black and white yet, but my understanding is if you watch it in black and white, it is like this is a straight up homage to the original.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the one of the opening destruction scenes where he has the train in his mouth, and then the girl character's in the train.
Oh yeah, and she's hanging on to
Dude,
yeah.
Such a good scene.
That's such a good scene.
Here's how I know that I loved a movie. It's that there are moments in there where I'm like, okay, yeah, there's no way that's happening, sort of a thing, where I can't suspend my disbelief, and I shrug and say, doesn't matter, don't care, because the movie's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
There were a couple of those moments in the movie.
Don't matter, don't care. It's freaking awesome.
Like, there's the part where main character goes and finds his not really wife, girlfriend, whatever.
I don't want to give too many spoilers.
Yeah, finds her in the middle of this crowd in the middle of the street as Godzilla's attacking. Just happens to find her.
Yeah.
I'm like, no way.
Yeah, there's like hundreds of thousands of people running.
No way.
Yeah.
You're not finding her.
No. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Or towards the end where all the boats are linking up tug ropes.
Yeah, I don't think that's how physics works.
Well, and they did those like in an hour.
Well, and then
Dude, I just went on a cruise. It takes a cruise ship like hours to moor
yeah.
to a stationary dock.
That's where my daughter worked all summer.
Yeah.
No. She lived on a boat. Yeah.
But it didn't matter.
Didn't matter. Didn't matter.
Now, without going into spoilers, the very end.
Oh, I teared up, dude.
There's a choice
I
that they
teared
make.
up.
There's a choice that they make.
Yeah.
That has to do with the fate of the main character.
Mm-hmm.
The event happens. Those of you who are listening who have watched the show, you know what I'm talking about.
It was perfectly set up.
Because the reason it's perfectly set up is because you, as the viewer, accept it either way.
Either one made perfect sense.
Either one made perfect sense and was appropriate and was poignant. I mean, as I watched that, I took my son to see it. And as that ending happened, I went, oh, well, there we go. Well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ended the way it ended. And I'm like, and I sat there kind of astounded.
Yeah,
I'm
that also makes sense.
I'm like, oh, like they set themselves up for a win-win.
Yeah.
Like emotionally speaking.
It was brilliantly written that either way, if it had gone, I don't want to any spoilers because guys, watch the movie. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
Either way that this shakes out would make perfect logical storytelling sense and would be just as poignant.
Yeah, and you'd accept it.
Because it was great.
Yeah.
There was nothing forced, nothing shoehorned. It all made sense. There wasn't a wasted character in it. I mean, there were very cheesy, it's like salute to original Godzilla level characters.
Oh,
but every one of them
they were so fun. Like the scientists that he's working with,
such
dude,
a
they're so
stereotypical
fun.
Godzilla movie scientist.
But and oh gosh, he was such a fun, like quirky, like almost joyful character the whole time.
Oh yeah, and then and the wooden boat. The wooden boat was
Dude, that scene was so fun.
Yeah, because it's like we see Godzilla like nuking destroyers, and it's like they're on this little wooden minesweeper. And it's like, good luck. You have a 17 millimeter autocannon.
And those are the only people that accept him for his, in spite of his failure.
Yeah, because he had another guy who was also was a Navy veteran, but he came out of the war bitter and like, we got screwed, we got used. Oh, you're a kamikaze pilot? Well, good for you. You didn't die.
Yeah.
You should marry this girl.
I love what this movie did.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
Oh, across the board, it was fantastic. And mad props. And one thing for those of you that haven't seen it yet, when you see this movie, realize the whole thing was made for $15 million.
Yeah. I mean, nothing.
By American movie standards, that was like the donut budget for a Marvel movie.
Oh,
it's so much better.
Jenny and I were looking this up. My wife, Jenny, we were looking this up because we're like, man, like that movie was made for nothing.
The Alkalite cost more per episode.
Significantly more per episode.
Yeah. And
I think it was double.
Yeah. And so you think about that, guys. Yeah. This is not a film podcast. We're just talking about the writing of Godzilla. So I can't go into movie budgets, but dude, it looked fantastic. It was great.
It looked fantastic. The acting was fantastic. The story worked. I mean, the characters were spot on. They had great rapport with each other. I mean, and then the ending. Like, at first I'm like, oh, you're killing it. Why are you doing that? Oh, okay, never mind.
Well, story-wise, how they got like America out of the way was great.
Yeah,
because
they were just like, Nah.
Because it wasn't a movie about us, and so it was, so basically to get America out of the way, they had that we were currently at the verge of nuclear war with the Soviets, so we were occupied.
Yeah.
We can't get involved right now because we could set off nuclear war, so Japan has to handle it. Because it's a Japanese movie for the Japanese people, and like, you know what? Great.
But I mean, think about so many of the movies that have come out, like the new Godzilla movies. I think their average just production budgets are in the vicinity of $200 to $300 million. That means we can make 10 to 20 of these movies, for the same cost.
Yeah.
I'm just like, are you kidding me right now?
We're so up our own butts.
Like, I mean, the new Joker movie,
Yeah.
I hated the first one. The more I think about that first Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, the more I hate it.
I'm okay with the scene where Robert De Niro gets shot.
That's fine.
I mean, I'm okay with that, but honestly, most of it is just like
The budget for the
It
sequel,
was an okay movie. It was kind of a grim, nihilistic.
it just didn't matter.
Yeah, and everybody sucks, and
It's a story that doesn't need to be told, and it doesn't matter.
yeah. I mean, I get the performances were really good.
I'm not going to dog the
Yeah,
performance.
no. Like Joaquin Phoenix in that
No,
movie
he's
is
actually
fantastic.
really good in it.
Like he's brilliant in that movie, but it's a little dark for my.
Okay, the sequel budget's $200 million. Why?
I have
Why?
no idea.
It makes no sense.
It wasn't like the first one was a special effects extravaganza.
No. And so I liken this to books in that, and I think this is what really hit me as I finished watching the Godzilla movie. And that's that, can I write my endings to where the readers will accept whatever ending, like they know that it's going to end some way or another, maybe good, maybe bad, and either way works for them. And I'm like, man, if I can do that, I've won. Like, I've presented that means I've made you care about my characters.
Absolutely.
What's the one thing we always say in short fiction? How quick can you make me care about your characters? That's what this movie does.
Very, very quickly.
Very quickly. I mean, within minutes.
Yeah.
You understand. And so that's why I love this movie, Larry. I freaking love this movie. It's probably one of my favorite movies that's come out over the past several years.
I would agree.
A lot of my other movies are silly ones,
No, but
like Blood Vessel.
dude, I love Blood Vessel.
It's so good in a weird way.
Because it's every Halloween role-playing game we've ever done as a group. Because down to the ethnic stereotypes that each one of us individually would play.
Yeah. You know what we should do?
Huh.
You know what we should do?
We need to do a
in
Halloween
October?
game. Yeah, it's next month.
Well, I mean, we have to do the Halloween game, of course. But
I always do a Halloween game.
We need
Alan
to
used to,
do-
and then he moved.
I know that jerk. He's in Minnesota now.
Yeah, he moved.
We need to give the listeners out there for October, maybe one of the first episodes in October, like, here are your monthly movies, your monthly horror movies
Oh,
to
do we need
watch.
to do a WriterDojo Spooktacular?
A WriterDojo spectacular of movies to watch and
Done.
why.
Done. In.
Heck yeah.
All in.
All right, guys. Sorry, we're kind of brainstorming on the air with you, just because. So you got to understand, guys. Like Larry and I, we haven't seen each other for like a month, just because of stuff. I started a new job, and Larry's been busy finishing.
Heart of the Mountain's almost done.
Yeah, you're editing it.
I'm editing. Yeah, the book is done. I'm actually just in the
Yeah.
editing process.
So
It's so good, guys. Like this series, I wrapped it up 6 books. It's awesome. I'm very proud of this. You're gonna love it.
yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's all the time we have for you today. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you, all of you who have asked questions. We appreciate the questions. Hopefully we answered them. If we didn't, suck it up. I mean, you can ask more questions later or something. Anyway, this is the Writer Dojo. We'll see you on the next one.
WriterDojo is Steve Diamond and Larry Correia. Produced by Jack Wilder and Bear and Hare Studios. Theme song, Word Mercenaries by Craig Nivo. New episodes come out every Wednesday wherever you stream your content. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can help support us by going to anchor.fm/WriterDojo, by leaving a 5-star rating and review, and by helping to spread the word. To advertise on the Writer Dojo, email ads@writerdojo.com. All questions and comments can be emailed to questions@writerdojo.com.
Oh, it's like, shut up. My gosh, just go make some art.